Greetings, ITCE students, and welcome to week 7. So this week we're starting kind of a 2-week unit on training. What we're going to do is we're going to look at if you were planning a big training session or half-day training or something at your workplace, how would you go about planning it from scratch? So we'll talk about backwards design. Then we'll talk about some things you need to consider when you're training people, and some strategies you can use to make sure that your training is accessible. And at the end of this class, I'm going to introduce the training reflection, and so you'll have an idea of what you need to do for that. But we'll be working on it this week and next week, so you might not want to start it right away. I just want you to know what's involved. So the first part of this week's slides and little interactive activities that I have for you address how to plan a training session. So this presumes that you work somewhere. So if you mouse over some of these, you'll see these are typical jobs where you're going to have to do some training. So you want to make sure that you have this skill, that you're able to provide instruction, you're able to help people effectively, not just demonstrate how to do something or show people how to do something, but actually train or teach them how to do something. So it's an important skill as an IT professional. So I encourage you to look at this EduTech wiki and get their written overview of what is backwards design, and also to watch this video. It's just a 3 or 4 minute video about backwards design as applied to creating a unit of study in a media studies class. When you are designing training or a unit of study in school or something, backwards design pretty much has 3 steps. The first thing you do is identify what do you want people to be able to know or do by the end of the training or by the end of the unit. And then you have to ask yourself, what will you accept as evidence that they know the information or they can do or perform the skill? And then, this is the teaching part, you need to create learning experiences so they can learn the skill or learn the knowledge. You don't just say, here's the reading, now magically you should know this. You have to actually do some teaching, give them some feedback or opportunities to self-assess. So for this unit, for example, I needed to, before I could start creating these slides and deciding what to teach you, I need to think about what the learning outcome was. So I looked at the course outline, and then I needed to think about what would be acceptable evidence that students could achieve the learning outcome. And I had to kind of come up with some ideas. And so this is the importance of linking your evaluation with the learning outcome. So, maybe I could, sometimes people might say, well, create a drawing. Well, a drawing isn't going to demonstrate necessarily that you know how to program in a certain language. So you've got to align your assessments with your learning outcomes. And so that's how I came up with what the final evaluation is. It's a reflection for these 2 weeks. And then you need to create learning experiences to help students achieve the learning outcome. So this is why I make all those little interactive hotspots or drag and drop activities, is I give you a little bit of information and then I try to get you to apply or demonstrate to yourself that you understand the information. And sometimes I get you to apply the knowledge or the skill by doing an activity. Okay? And note that unlike elementary school or high school where your teachers gave you lots and lots of little in-class activities and then they would have you hand them in, and even though they didn't count towards your final grade, they gave you some feedback. Well, in college, I'm not doing this in our class. I'm giving you those self-assessment activities and learning experiences like the elevator pitch activity, although sometimes, like the elevator pitch activity, I do give you feedback. And I expect you to reach out to me if you're struggling with these self-assessment activities, and I can help you then. And once you do those self-assessment activities, if you're able to do them successfully, then you should be prepared to do whatever the evaluation is. Okay, so here's one of those self-assessment activities, and I encourage you to do it. Thanks.